The icy winds of Jutland howled a mournful dirge, echoing the sorrow that clung to Prince Amleth like a shroud. Once, the young prince's laughter had filled the halls of his father, Orvandil, a chieftain chosen by King Roric for his prowess. Orvandil's wife, Jeruth, the king's own daughter, had brought warmth and joy to their life. But envy, a viper in the grass, coiled in the heart of Orvandil's brother, Fenge. Jealousy, a venomous serpent, slithered into Fenge's soul. He plotted, the darkness in his heart curdling into a monstrous plan. One fateful night, Fenge struck, his blade cold and merciless. Orvandil, unsuspecting, fell victim to his brother's treachery. The usurper then turned his gaze to Jeruth, a cruel smile twisting his lips. Fear, cold and clammy, gripped her. Fenge, with a practiced lie, claimed he'd saved her from a madman, a husband who had turned violent. Jeruth, trapped in a gilded cage, could only weep silently for her lost love and fear for her son. Amleth, though young, felt the icy tendrils of fear snake around his heart. He saw the truth glimmering in his mother's tear-filled eyes, heard the whispers in the halls that dared not speak the name of murder. He knew his life hung by a thread. So, Amleth donned a mask of madness. His laughter became a guttural cackle, his speech a torrent of nonsensical pronouncements. He feigned idiocy, his eyes, however, gleaming with a cunning that belied his facade. Fenge, ever suspicious, sent a spy to observe Amleth's interactions with Jeruth. One night, a shadow slithered into their chambers. Amleth, his eyes gleaming with a feral glint, exposed the spy's treachery. In a torrent of words, both nonsensical and laced with hidden accusation, he raged at his mother's weakness. Jeruth, heart pounding, saw through the facade. This wasn't madness, but a desperate son, clinging to sanity in a world gone mad. In a hushed voice, she vowed to resist Fenge, a spark of defiance igniting in her eyes. Fenge, though unsure of Amleth's true state, couldn't bear another murder so fresh on his conscience. Yet he couldn't leave Amleth, a potential threat, to roam free. He devised a plan, a trap cloaked in good intentions. With a heavy heart, Jeruth watched her son, guarded by men sworn to Fenge, sail for England. Little did she know, these men carried a sealed message, Amleth's death warrant in disguise. The journey was long and arduous, the seas mirroring the turmoil within Amleth. On a lonely night, as the stars glittered like watchful eyes, Amleth intercepted the message. His blood ran cold, then a fierce heat of defiance surged through him. With a flick of his wrist, he altered the inscription, his mind a whirlwind of desperate calculation. The message transformed from a request for death to one for alliance, a proposal for marriage to the English king's daughter. Fate, it seemed, had a hand in the game. The English king, intrigued by Amleth's supposed madness, found himself strangely drawn to the young man's fiery spirit, hidden beneath the veil of eccentricity. Amleth, playing his part with uncanny skill, charmed the king and the princess. His feigned madness now held a hint of genuine amusement, a spark of a brilliant mind battling for survival. The king, convinced of Amleth's harmlessness, agreed to the marriage. Years passed. Amleth, now a prince of England, honed his skills, his thirst for vengeance a simmering fire in his heart. But he never forgot Jutland, the land of his birth, and the monstrous uncle who usurped his rightful throne. With his loyal wife by his side, he returned to Jutland, a storm brewing in his eyes. Fenge, lulled into a false sense of security, threw a grand feast in Amleth's honor. The merriment echoed through the halls, a feast turning into a potential death knell. Amleth, his face a mask of feigned revelry, watched Fenge closely. The time for vengeance had come. With a whispered command, Amleth set his plan in motion. Hidden men, loyal to Amleth, doused the walls with oil. As the revelry reached its peak, Amleth, his voice ringing like a tolling bell, accused Fenge of his treachery. Panic erupted as flames engulfed the hall. Fenge, his face contorted in terror, lunged at Amleth. A desperate battle ensued, blades flashing in the flickering firelight. Amleth, fueled by years of suppressed rage, fought with the fury of a cornered wolf. Fenge, however, was a seasoned warrior, his movements honed by years of bloodshed. The clash was a dance of desperation, the air thick with the smell of burning wood and sweat. Suddenly, a burning beam crashed down, separating the combatants. Amleth, momentarily stunned, watched in horror as the flames began to consume the escaping guests. His heart hammered against his ribs. Revenge, yes, but not at the cost of innocent lives. Through the inferno, Amleth saw his wife, her eyes wide with fear, shepherding a group of women and children towards a hidden passage. A surge of protectiveness momentarily eclipsed his thirst for vengeance. He had to get them out, to ensure their safety. With a roar, Amleth pushed through the flames, ignoring the searing pain that licked at his skin. He guided the terrified women and children, their panicked screams blending with the crackling fire. Finally, they emerged into the cool night air, collapsing onto the damp grass. Gasping for breath, Amleth looked back at the inferno. The great hall, once a symbol of power, was now a pyre consuming Fenge's sins and, perhaps, Fenge himself. But a seed of doubt gnawed at Amleth. Had Fenge escaped the flames? Was his quest for vengeance incomplete? Just then, a figure emerged from the smoke-filled doorway, a hulking silhouette bathed in orange light. Amleth's heart pounded in his chest. Fenge, his clothes singed and his face blackened with soot, charged towards him, his sword raised high. This final fight was a brutal ballad of desperation. Both men, wounded and exhausted, fought with the primal instinct of survival. Amleth, fueled by righteous fury and the memory of his murdered father, parried Fenge's blows with a newfound ferocity. Finally, with a well-placed thrust, Amleth disarmed Fenge, the tip of his sword resting against the usurper's throat. Panting, Amleth stared into Fenge's eyes, his own bloodshot and burning. He saw not a king, but a broken man, reaping the harvest of his own wickedness. Yet, a flicker of doubt remained. Was killing Fenge truly justice? Would it bring back his father? Would it erase the pain that had shadowed his life? A heavy silence descended, broken only by the crackling of the dying fire. Amleth, sword still poised, looked towards his wife and the huddled group of women and children. He saw relief in their eyes, a flicker of hope for a new dawn. He saw the future of Jutland, a land ravaged by his uncle's greed. With a deep breath, Amleth made his choice. He wouldn't stain his hands with another life, no matter how deserved the punishment. He lowered his sword, his voice hoarse. "You are stripped of your throne, Fenge. Jutland will decide your fate. But you will not die by my hand." A guttural roar erupted from Fenge's throat, his eyes burning with hatred. He lunged at Amleth, a desperate bid for revenge. But Amleth was ready. With a swift movement, he disarmed Fenge once again, his grip this time unwavering. With the help of his loyal followers, Fenge was taken prisoner, the flames licking at his retreating figure like a vengeful spirit. As the sun rose, casting a pale light on the smouldering ruins of the hall, Amleth stood tall, his face etched with exhaustion and a newfound resolve. The fire had consumed not just the hall, but the darkness that had shrouded Jutland for so long. Now the people would choose their leader, a leader forged in the fires of vengeance and tempered by mercy. Amleth, the Prince of Madness, had returned, not just to claim his birthright, but to rebuild a kingdom from the ashes. His story, a testament to cunning, resilience, and the burden of justice, would forever echo in the halls of Jutland, a cautionary tale for those who dared to tread the path of ambition stained with blood.